Ball is life. Everything nice. Ball is life. Which team you support? Tune in and make a choice. Yeah. Football is life. Football is life. Football is life. Football is life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to another episode, Halftime TV viewers and subscribers. And we have with us today the Football DNA podcast, and they're making their inaugural appearance on the Halftime TV show. And this evening we have a big topic for you because I know over the last couple of days and the last couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, the transfer window has been going crazy. But for the Jamaican fans, no transfer so far this season has been as big as the news that Mason Greenwood, yes, Mason Greenwood, prodigy out of the Manchester United Academy, will be representing Jamaica in the upcoming months and years ahead. May very well be the standout player for the Reggae Boys come the 2026 World Cup, should the team get there. But before we even go into any of that, we have a lot to discuss, and we will be dissecting it. We'll be going into all the intricacies and all the angles that there are to explore on this very topic, because it is one of controversy. It is one that will turn heads, and it's one that may very well divide the Reggae Boys fans because of the baggage that Mason Greenwood comes with. All right. So again, big shout out to everyone who's tuned in with us this evening. Football DNA podcast. Sorry, over to you. What's popping? How are you doing today? What are your thoughts on what's happening with the Reggae Boys team and with their new addition?
First of all, thank you for having us. Football DNA podcast, new to the platform. So definitely appreciate you bringing us to get our opinion on the matter on hand. Yeah. So, yeah, obviously a big talent. Obviously, we all know one of the most technically gifted footballers coming out of the Manchester United Academy. He saw his talent and everything. He came through, rose up very quickly, to be fair. Very talented, scored a lot of goals, had the swagger of a superstar. But like you said, what comes with his talent is a lot of baggage. And obviously, everyone is familiar with what had transpired and everything. We don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of that. But just knowing that Reggae Boys, we've been looking for that standout player that's going to be the decisive player for years now. We've had many runs, World Cup qualifiers, Gold Cups, you name it, and just, the inability to find that superstar-like player. So it's been talked about in, different corners all over the world about him trying to switch his allegiance to Jamaica. And for us to finally see that news break, and, with everyone know the top guy, journalist right now, Fabrizio Romano. When I saw that on my TV this morning, on my phone, sorry, I was very surprised, but happy at the same time. But it clicked right away. This guy, with the stuff that he's carrying in behind him. I feel for the guy, superior talents, very supreme talent. And for him to be dealing with all this thing going on, but I don't know if it's the right move, not to get too biblical, but I mean, like you said, like the topic read, is hypocrisy or redemption? Everyone deserves a chance at the next level, but for all we were fed, the news and everything going around, is it the right time? Is it the right move? All the other players out there, he's going to come in the squad and walk straight ahead of them. There's so many things to digest, to be fair.
All right. Thanks for your opening remarks on the situation. Big up yourself, Lee Young. Welcome to the channel. Is it a definite confirmation? Well, based on the news that we've been seeing coming out of the United Kingdom, it sure appears that way. The news indicates that Mason Greenwood has now accumulated all the necessary documents required to represent the Reggae Boys. We're still following that story. We won't come out and say definitively that Mason Greenwood will be on the Reggae Boys squad, but what we can say is the indications are definitely pointing in that direction. Now, I think this, and again, throughout this live stream, I will be playing devil's advocate, and I'll also be typing in the comment section as well, the Football DNA podcast link. So those who are joining us can go on over and support the channel, because I very well want to see them do well. Some wonderful content on their channel, folks. So please go out and check out that content. But with the Mason Greenwood situation, and I've always been one who is very critical of everything that plays out on the British scene as it relates to football, as well as on the local scene. Personally, I don't think Jamaica has enough quality playing in the local Premier League to be competitive in the World Cup qualifiers. But that's my opinion. I've been paying attention to the local Premier League. Right now, most of the talent, they're in one place, right? Most of the talent are playing for one club. And what that means is the other players who are representing the other teams, it's almost as if like you don't get a look in, right? You don't get a look in because the best team in the league, all the best players are playing for that team. And for those players who aren't starting in that particular team, who knows? They may very well not even get an opportunity to showcase their talents for the senior coaches. But back to the Mason Greenwood situation. And for those who aren't fully aware of what transpired, and I know Football DNA podcast said they would not be backtracking, but how we like doing it over here at Halftime TV, we like presenting you with all the facts. We like to give you everything, and then you form your opinion based on the information that you receive. All right. So for those who aren't aware, someone even messaged me a little bit earlier this evening and asked me if it is a big deal and what's the story surrounding Mason Greenwood. This is a non-football fan. This is a basketball player. However, he tunes into Halftime TV, and simply because he saw it making the rounds on social media, he reached out and wanted to know what's the deal with this guy. Who's this guy? So Mason Greenwood, standout player at the Manchester United Academy, promoted to the senior team, banged in some big goals as well for the senior team. One of the brightest talents, as Football DNA podcast said, that came out of the Manchester United Academy out of recent years. And that the English team, and yes, I said English team, they were looking to. They had big plans for him. They were looking towards him. Phil Foden, Mason Greenwood, they were supposed to be the next big things in the English senior team, right? Now, Mason Greenwood had a situation with his partner. She released some videos, some voice notes, well, some pictures and some voice notes of him basically threatening her. She on the photos, there were bruises, there were cuts, which she indicated that these were caused by him, right? Voice notes that were released as well pointed in that direction. He was locked away for a couple of days/weeks. Then he was on house arrest. So he was basically still arrested. And then subsequently, the case was dropped, right? After a couple of months, the case was dropped. And based on what we have been hearing and have been reading, the couple is now expecting, or I think the child is supposed to be born by now, but they were expecting based on what I heard the last time, right? So full roller coaster, typical toxic relationship kind of vibe. So that's what transpired. No, outside of the man and woman or boyfriend and girlfriend, or however you want to put it, outside that, there was the club, the image, the national team, and the image surrounding that as well. Now, if you know anything about Manchester United and anything about England football team in particular, you know that the optics is more important 99.9% of the time than the actual truth, right? So if it looks a particular way, the club will oftentimes sever ties with the particular player. Now, in this situation, it didn't look good on Mason Greenwood. All indications, he did what the young lady said he did, and as a result, Manchester United basically they put him in purgatory, put it that way, right? So when the case was dropped, they ultimately shipped him out of the club, and he ended up in France. Now, he's been playing in Marseille for the last couple of months, and as things stand right now, he is the top goal scorer in the League 1, ahead of Bradley Barcola, who represents PSG. So Mason Greenwood currently on 12 goals in the French League 1. Bradley Barcola, that youngster you saw like running City around in rings yesterday, he's second on 11 goals. So now that everyone is up to speed and you know what we're dealing with, Mason Greenwood has been basically the Reggae Boys and the Jamaica Football Federation. They've been showing interest in Mason Greenwood for quite some time. And when there was an opportunity, the slightest chance for him to still represent the England national team, he basically was holding on to that. So now it seems as if all doors are shut and we're hearing this story. So over to you, Football DNA podcast. Doesn't this seem a little bit suspect, the timing of him choosing to switch allegiance now and to represent the Jamaica national team? And I always say this, and folks, they put it how they want to put it, and there are some folks who even call the English players football English rejects or what have you. But I personally feel as if players who they understand what is at stake. They understand what is at stake. They put out more effort when it comes to it. And there are some people who just want to go knock somebody. You want to play at the World Cup, the opportunity stands for you to represent Jamaica. So you just go and you knock some ball for Jamaica. But if Jamaica doesn't make it, you don't have to say anything to anyone on the street because you live in England. You walk on the street, no one even cares that you represent Jamaica. For those who have to come home, you go in the supermarket, people are going to ask you about it. All right, so what are your thoughts on that? I think I've been going on for a minute, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. So yeah, I actually think with the timing of the World Cup coming up in 2026 and him having whatever you make of it, I would say a breakout here in France. It's a classic season he's having so far. His overall play has been brilliant all season. I've watched him closely. I think he has something like 3 assists, 12 goals. He's very integral to the Marseille setup. But I think if he had another 2 years or 3 years to build back up to his level and to show that consistency over the course of 2-3 seasons, then it will be more of an easier gamble for him to take, or risk, if you'd like, for him to take leading up to a World Cup tournament. But at the end of this year, you're going straight into the next year, and then in the blink of an eye, it's summer and then it's World Cup time. I don't think there's anything he could do now in France that could put him higher up the pecking order or to change the narrative around everything that's been happening with him in the past few years. I think it's a little bit too late. And like you said, rightfully.
Quick question. Before you even go any further, say he finishes this season, top goal scorer in the French League. Maybe say racks up 25 goals. Is that enough to warrant him a call-up? Do you think he will get a call-up for the English national team? And we saw with Omari Hutchinson as well, where he came and he represented Jamaica in a friendly, and then he went back to England, had a couple good games, and then they called him in the England under-21 setup to play again. So knowing England, they usually cup-type players, right? So they see that you're doing well, they bring you in, give you a game or two, and then you can't represent nobody else. Is there still a chance of Mason Greenwood representing England?
There's always a chance with the level of player he is, the caliber of talent Mason Greenwood is. I think there's always a chance, right? But I think him skillfully calculating his chances on both sides, pros and cons, right? Looking at the situation that took place, looking at how he's playing right now, right? The time frame, the other players in form, especially in his position. Even though he's quite a versatile player, he can play anywhere across the front three or even an attacking midfield position. However, I do believe that with the likes of Phil Foden, the player he is, even though he's not in top form at the minute, Bukayo Saka injured, but we know him, the ilk of a Bukayo Saka, right? The pedigree of the other attacking talent the English setup has. You can go as far as Anthony Gordon. You have a lot of players who are playing themselves in form, and the pecking order is long. So to see himself fighting in that, and those other players don't have the baggage attached to their names like he does, I think it's a calculated gamble that he's taking to skip away from the national setup in in England and just to try and test the waters in Jamaica. Like you said, there's not much of a gamble going to Jamaica. He's already an established pro. He's at the top of his game. Jamaica need that type of talent. So if anything, it's gonna be an easier transition, less pressure. And who knows? There are a lot of optimism around Jamaica getting through because of the way that's being paid for them to qualify. No, I think there's a way for him to go into the national setup in Jamaica, impact the team, probably bring some of the players up to his level, the likes of Bobby Reid, Cordova Reid, Leon Bailey, and to name a few.